First of all, I wrote a whole speech and I scrapped it. I ended up scrapping it because it was a little negative and I didn't want to be negative. So I jotted some stuff while I was here to be positive. So give me one moment. First things I want, before I go, I want to encourage everyone to go to iamthevillage.org and please donate. The work that is done here, the work that is done year round by the One Village Alliance is not easy work. It's not work that comes without a cost. Personally, to people like Chandra, Darrell, and so many other people that volunteer, my friend Danielle, who works year-round with the organization. So please go and donate to this organization. A lot of my friends were unable to make it here today, but a lot of them did in fact donate. And I'm gonna really push hard and I'm gonna really apply pressure to people to force them to do the right thing. And I think that's kind of where I wanna go with this right now, because we're all in the room, we're the choir, we're talking to each other, we all know what to do, we all know the right thing, right? Pretty much, fair to say? Like we all have a pretty good moral code, we all, but there should be so many more people here. There should be so many more people at all of these King events. Earlier today I spoke, and Chandra and I and others have been running around all day today. We spoke at a church. It was more or less empty, I would say. There were a few people there. There were about maybe 50, somewhere around 30 people in a room. One young person, I might add, one young person. And so I want to encourage us to do better. We are the change that we really, really, really want to see. We want to replicate what we see in this room. We want to duplicate it. We want to encourage our young people to continue to strive. We want to encourage our young people to do better. We want to tell them that they can do better, that they're capable of doing better. I'm really tired of hearing the narrative that our young black men are only going to end up dead or in jail. And when you hear that over and over and over and over and over and over, you actually believe it. And that's why Chandra never says it. If you listen closely, Chandra will say, our young black men will end up one of two places. She never finishes that sentence. And I know why, because she doesn't want to continue to repeat that narrative. So I want to just say that if you can do anything, just grab a young man or a young female as well, a young woman, and mentor them. It's as simple as that. Mentor them. And when I say mentor them, I don't mean mentor, I don't mean show up once a month, I don't mean every quarter or some structure. I mean text with them all throughout the day. I mean take them out to a baseball game, a football, not even a basketball game. Take them to something that they've never experienced. Give people something that they've never borne witness to, right? The other day I watched online Cardi B go at the president. Cardi B talking about the government shutdown. And in some ways, it was great. Like, we were all cheering for Cardi B. We were like, yeah, she's speaking truth to power, and she's, doing it, blah, blah, blah. But in another way, I was a little bit sad. I was a little bit hurt, because here we are on Martin Luther King Day, and as far as I could see, Cardi B is the loudest voice that we hear in this fight for justice. And make no mistake about it, I'm very proud to see her do that. But in a lot of ways, I'm also like, okay, where's the next Martin Luther King? Where is that person that we look to follow us, right? Because on social media, we all are trying to amass the most followers A lot of us are, at least. I mean, maybe not you, but I do. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie, I do too. But I will say this, you know, we're trying to amass all these followers, but are we really leading? And if we are leading, then how are we leading? Who are we leading? And where are we leading people to? And I think those are the questions that we have to ask. And as we go back to our young people, again, how are we leading our young people? Are we talking to them? Are we really, really talking to them? Do we understand them? Are we listening to the music they listen to? I'm in hip hop. I love hip hop. But I'm like a lot of people in this room, some of it I can't take. You know what I'm saying? Some of it annoys me. Some of it bothers me. I grew up on Public Enemy, KRS-One, X-Clan, you know, some NWA, and a bunch of other stuff too. The Ghetto Boys. It wasn't all clean, but we had a good, healthy balance. But here's the thing. If you don't know what your kids are listening to, then I promise you, someone else is raising or contributing to raising your kids. You know, it's not all bad, but you have to understand where your kids are coming from. Just like Public Enemy ingrained politicism in me, politicized me, helped me understand a broader perspective about politics, activism. Other rappers, I won't name them because, you know, we don't try to hate, but other rappers are ingraining other perspectives in your kids too, right? So we have to stop pretending like things aren't happening. I was born here in Wilmington, but I was primarily raised in Newark, Delaware. Recently, 4 young boys are now accused of raping a young girl. And I'm not saying, I'm not condemning them whether they are, guilty or innocent, but their names are sprawled all over the newspaper. All of them are 14 or under. They're all very young boys. Now again, I'm not condemning them. I don't know if they did it or if they didn't do it. But one thing I do know is that we have to know what our kids are doing and what they're thinking. And we have to speak to them almost like adults. Almost, you know, you can't shy. When I grew up, we didn't talk about the birds and the bees. It was just something that we didn't talk about. It was almost inferred that you knew what to do. We can't assume that anymore, okay? So, you know, I had a speech written, and I really wanted to ask the question about who our leaders are, where our leaders are. But I know where they are. They're in this room. We're right here. Chandra, I look up to her. I hold her in high esteem because when we met years ago, I was doing work in Baltimore, well, work all over the area, but we met in Baltimore where I brought a lot of young men to Baltimore, and I brought some of my friends who were rappers and things to a museum in Baltimore, and we talked. And Chandra and I made an instant bond. I think it was energy, really, quite frankly. But beyond that, it was the work that we both shared in common. So I'm an ambassador of Raising Kings. I will continue to do the work. I will continue to ask the hard questions. I will continue to speak truth to power. I will continue to talk that talk until we really see sustained change in our community, sustained change with our people, until we allow our kids to understand the greatness that's within them, that they are descendants of kings and queens. We will continue to do this work. So once again, I will emphasize to you, there's a lot of money in this room, there's a lot of power in this room, there's a lot of influence in this room. I will tell you, next year, we're gonna double the size of this room. We're gonna double and triple and quadruple the amount of influence and power that we have in this room until we are the change that we want to see. So once again, please go to IamTheVillage.org, contribute, tell your friends to contribute. I'm a proud brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. A lot of my brothers couldn't make it today, but I told them, and I will continue to tell them, and everyone else I know, to hit that donate button and support the work we do. We have to live in the legacy of Dr. King. I almost cried today, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I was in church ready to cry because I remember my grandmother looking at Dr. King on the television with me sitting next to her, and she's just crying, looking at him. We have almost regressed. We have seen things and bore witness to things that we haven't seen since the 60s. So I'm not here. Hip hop didn't politicize me for us to walk backwards, for us to regress, for our young men and women to be victims of a system that we pledge to fight. So once again, thank you for having me. I'll see you next year, and we'll bring a friend, and then next year they'll bring a friend, and we'll continue to do the work.